Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. What a heartwarming story. I wish more employers treated employees like that. When employers treat their employees like gold, they get undying loyalty. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. What it really means to lead a store. Relevant non-retail background information before we begin. I live with 4 other people in a 2-bedroom apartment, which has honestly much too high rent for its size. Due to circumstances I'm not too keen on getting into, we were short on last month's rent, which caused the household account from which we paid to go into the red. Since we couldn't make up the difference over the month, we wound up short. When they tried to pull rent from our account, instead of overdrafting like we were hoping, rent just bounced, and we received a 3-day notice not long after, with the caveat that we come up with $2,125 in money orders in 3 days. We're nearly $900 short. Cue panic. Now for the retail stuff. I've been working for the same grocery store company for 8 years now, and I've been at my current store for only 5 months or so. Over the years and over 6 stores, this particular chain has had managers run the gamut of incredible. One once gave me $300 to go have fun at an anime convention with zero expectation I repair, to absolutely god-awful. So I don't know how this particular store would pan out if I started asking my managers for help. I bite the bullet and tell my immediate managers, show them the 3 days notice, all are sympathetic, but something close to $900 is just too much for any one of them to pull out of pocket. I understand. So I begin making calls left and right to various organizations, government or otherwise, hoping to get some help. Every lead I have is dead. But then I remember about a week prior I had to attend a meeting with several of my coworkers run by the store manager to inform us about an organization we team with and have continued to support and donate to for over 25 years. This wasn't the first time I went to such a meeting, but it was the first time I saw a store manager that seemed openly enthusiastic about it, and further dedicated to it. At this meeting, he told us that not long ago, a woman working at this very store was facing an eviction, and as a single mother whose family lived far, she had no options. He got the organization involved and helped her along the way, getting her a new apartment closer to family and continued employment at another store in the area. While it's not quite as dire, I feel it's worth it to give it a chance. Out of options, I call. I tell the woman who I'm directed to the situation and that I'm an employee of the company they partner with. She says they can help. I about die of relief. Fast forward to the next day. My store manager happens to be in. I ask to speak to him and he invites me into his office. I tell him first that I want to thank him and I feel myself starting to choke up a bit. I explain what happened with rent and I go on to say that if it weren't for how personally involved he was with the said organization, after everything he told us at the meeting, I would have never thought to contact that organization for help, and that they told us they were going to help us and we weren't going to be evicted after all. This man's eyes absolutely light up, and without hesitation, he pulls up his chair to mine and bear hugs me. So naturally, I start ugly crying on his shoulder as he's telling me he's so glad they could help, and he's probably going to start crying too. Once I finally calm down enough to talk again, we just sit and chat about the organization, what happened to the employee from before, even his going so far to say if they weren't able to help that woman, he was ready to pull out his wallet to do so. I can't emphasize enough that I've only been here a scant few months, but I really felt, especially in that moment, that this was a man who, honest to God, cares deeply about the well-being of his employees. And while I know it's really the charity organization that's doing the legwork, I really feel I owe it to him for being as personally invested as he is to make what would have been a routine, boring meeting into something that saved my skin. So thank you, Mr. W, for all that you do. Even if it's something that seems insignificant to many, it meant everything to me. And our second story. I'd be happy to cancel your account. You call Dish Network customer service and get so mad at the agent that you scream, "I want to cancel my account!" and they transfer you to another representative. I used to be that guy. It's not as fun a job as one might expect, what with 99% of the callers screaming at you for any number of reasons that you had no control over. So you had to find a way to keep yourself sane. I stayed near or at the top of the stats leaderboard for customer safe so I could pull crap like this. One day, a representative had a caller who only gave him enough information to pull up his account and told him that he wanted to cancel his account, so I pulled up the customer's account and saw that he'd been a customer for 8+ years, which meant he was practically VIP. But I pulled up his billing info and saw that for at least the previous 2 years, oldest records I had access to, he'd been receiving $25 off his bill every month. The amount you could discount the bill also determined how long the discount lasted. $25 only went for 6 months, so he had called in at least 4 times before demanding to cancel his account until he got his $25 off. Now, I'm a man of principle, and I don't believe a person should get rewarded for being a crappy person. So I accept the transfer, and this guy came on the phone with the TV playing in the background and being a jerk, but also sounding almost bored with the game and says, "Cancel my account." Dish-approved response, "I'm sorry to hear you want to cancel your account. Can I ask why you're thinking of leaving?" Get a reason, make 2 offers to keep them around, then cancel if they still aren't willing to stick around. My response, "I'd be happy to cancel your account." Clicked a couple of buttons and his TV went absolutely silent. Then I proceeded to read the script they give us on how to return the equipment until he shouted over me asking what I just did. "I canceled your account per your request, sir. The boxes will arrive in 7 to 10 days. Again, dude's outraged, demanding I turn his TV back on. "I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand. Do you want me to cancel your account or not? Because I can turn it back on, but I won't give you a discount off your bill, and I'll be leaving clear notes for any future representatives telling them not to give you a discount either. So, would you like me to reactivate your account, or would you rather I send out the boxes?" As I expected, he told me to turn it back on. At the end, he tried again to get some sort of discount, which I refused, and offered to downgrade his account if he wanted to save money, which he refused and hung up in frustration. If I could have kept tabs on him, I would have, because I was curious if anyone would reapply the discount or if he'd leave. A bonus is I still had a few more confirmations to go through before the account was actually considered canceled, so the call counted as a save for my stats. Edit. And yes, I intentionally acted like a jerk, but simply because if the last person acted like a jerk, or the one before that, or the one before that, or the one before that, then I wouldn't have been on that call. Somebody needed to do it. So it was me. And our next story. You don't want to tell me where you are? Fine. You're not getting your dinner. I work at a hospital as a receptionist/admissions person. It's as rough and chaotic as you'd think it is. Anyways, a lot of people don't like hospital food, so they order a delivery service to have food brought to them. That's fine, but the delivery person can't actually come up to the room. It has to be left with us, and we fill out a form and take it to the patient. There is one piece of information that is so incredibly important: your room number. For those who may not know, delivery people only see your first name and last initial, and that's all the information they can give me. So if I don't have your room number, chances are I will not be able to find you based off just your first name. A few nights ago, a delivery man came in with $30 to $40 worth of food. The name was a super generic male name like John A., obviously not the real name, and of course no room number. I asked the delivery man if he could call the customer, and he said that he would. When the customer picked up, before he could even say hello, I heard some yelling on the other end. The delivery man let me know that the customer said, "Why are you calling me? I don't want to talk to you. Leave it with the front desk and leave me alone." You don't want to talk to us, even when we're trying to find you so we can bring you the food that you paid for? Fine. I very happily let the delivery man know that I would take it from there, and I placed the food on the counter where deliveries go, and it sat there for 4 hours. The food got cold and the milkshake turned into a sugary, lukewarm slime. But it gets better. 4 hours later, a nurse came down and asked if we had food for a John A. I told her we did and showed her the bag of food. She examined the receipt and said, "Oh, he can't have any of this." What did he buy? 2 burgers, a chili dog, a side of fries, and a large chocolate milkshake. If he wasn't a jerk and gave us a room number, there's a solid chance that someone would have got delivered to him without his nurse realizing what he got. But because he decided he was too good to speak to us lowly peasants, he had to send his nurse to collect his very cold food that he'd been waiting for, only to have it taken away. People have got to want change. It's their own battle. No matter how many people try to help them, if they don't want it, then it won't happen. And our last story. I demand that my neighbor pay for the removal of her tree. Neighbor, whom we'll call Betty, female, late 60s, met up with me, female 50, to walk the boundary of our new property and hers and determine whether a diseased tree, as identified by a tree service company, was mine or her responsibility. It appeared to be mine. Betty forwarded me a quote to fell said tree, just fell, too expensive to buck, chip, and haul, and scheduled it with tree company. Windstorm beat them to it, but said tree snagged 2 more, clearly on Betty's property. Since it was my tree, I paid for all 3 to be felled. Fast forward when Betty says she's since had a surveyor over and, surprise, the original tree is hers. If I forward her the receipt, she'll pay. However, she now says that she'll only pay half like she initially offered. Don't recall that, but when pressed, she claims it was during a documented period when I was out of state, so that convo never could have happened. Since I bucked and hauled all 3 trees, I'm to the point where I now want the full $1,150 for the work on her trees that would have been charged if the tree company did it, and truly believe the courts would agree. Update: the trial ended in my favor, and the neighbor had to refund me all the money I spent. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.